Adrienne, have you ever been in that situation that you had
Yes,
to break out?
100%. I'm with the crew, blackity black, 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 right? So, but what I will say is that throughout my career, I've been intentionally uncomfortable. So I put myself in spaces where I was the only person that was black in the room because it is an uncomfortable place to be. But the reality is, if you're in corporate America, you're going to end up in those spaces more often than not. So after a while, I started to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. But going into those spaces, it was intention, it was mindset, and it was also an inquisition. So when I went in those spaces, I wanted to absorb as much information as possible. I went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution. I was often the only Black accounting major in the class, and that was okay. I was used to it, and it helped prepare me for going to a Big Four and then a mid-sized firm. I then made the decision during the pandemic, honestly, I made a very Black choice. I decided to leave my firm. They wanted to keep me, but I left during the pandemic in reaction to how they approach BLM. And again, for me, my values are really what drive me. So, they took a stance that I didn't necessarily agree with, and I decided to part ways and go out on my own. Not everybody's going to make that decision, but I had gained so much knowledge and I was confident in my abilities. And that was simply because I was in those spaces, feeling uncomfortable, pushing through the discomfort, but gaining the knowledge at the end of the day. So for me, it was more about having that mindset and intention and really pushing myself past, the inner conversations, the imposter syndrome, the things that we tell ourselves that, no one would really ever say about us, but we wouldn't say that about someone else, but we say it to ourselves. So shifting that internal dialogue was really what helped me push through just surrounding myself with, my very Black sorority, with my very Black family, and just like my very Black circles, to say that actually I could be now president of a BNI chapter, which is not a Black organization, but my peers or the rest of my chapter elected me to be president. And, they don't look like me necessarily, but I built up those skills and that ability to network and be in those spaces to the point that now my counterparts are, electing me into these roles and positions because they're confident in my abilities. But I had to be in those spaces to build up my credibility and my knowledge.
Man, thank you for the transparency and the honest talk. That's pretty impressive by all panelists what you was talking about. But listen, guys, we got great panels here, and I really want the audience to pick their brain. Do anybody in the audience have a question? You could either type it or you could just say it. Do not let this opportunity pass, y'all. We got master networkers in here. Or I might be like my retired parents who are both educated, start calling out names. I would do that. I see Lauren. She's saying, yes, Adrienne. Okay, Soror. Let's see. Nobody has questions? I'm calling out people. Adrienne, they're gonna have me do it. Danielle. No, Daniel. Daniel.
You put him in the hot seat. Put him in the hot seat.
Is he not? He's not gonna unmute. I'm gonna go down the line. Diana. Who's that? Who just unmuted? There we go. How do we follow up with your contacts? Coach Tia, she wants this information. All right. So Coach Tia says, how often do you follow up with your connects or contacts?
That's a very good question. I'll jump in first. So I'll be honest, over the years, like some of them have fizzled out, some of them have been really strong connections. Carl and I, we went to the same school. So I've known Carl from college. We don't always speak all the time, but I see him and we're connecting after this because I definitely need to speak to a real estate and estate planning attorney. But he's still in my network. So for me, it depends on the contact and the relationship. So I really try to be authentic with my relationships and my contacts. I can't be talking to everyone that I've ever met at all times, because then I would never be doing anything else except talking to people and not doing the work. So for me, I really focus on having authentic and genuine relationships so that we can maintain rapport. So, you know, I have my friends, I have my associates, I have my contacts. My contacts, I always try to maintain at least a quarterly connection to keep them in my network. My colleagues and my friends, obviously we're speaking a little more frequently, but that's the approach that's worked for me to help me find balance.
To Adrienne's point, I think it's the value of the connection as opposed to the time, right? I thought of somebody immediately who will send me a message once a month or every 2 months, and they're saying nothing. It's literally, how's it going? Well, it's going, right? And there's nothing behind it, and you appreciate it, sure, but to Adrienne's point, we don't talk regularly, but if Adrienne calls me 5 years from now, I'm picking up the phone and she's going to have something she wants to talk about of substance, and I'm here for her, right? The person who is thinking that they're putting in quality time by reaching out to every contact or connections once a month, twice a month, once every 2 months or so, but there's no substance behind it. I'm less likely when that person calls 2 years from now to actually be available to help them with what it might be, because it feels less genuine, sort of the way. So definitely be intentional about it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think going back to the earlier conversation about being generous, think about the things that you come across that would be of value to other people. When I come across articles that would be of value to my friends in real estate, I'll pass those articles along. When I come across networking opportunities that will be beneficial to my friends who are independent contractors, I pass that information along. When I come across things on Black Long Island that will be of interest to the businesses in my community, I pass that information along. So it may not be where I'm on a regular schedule with reaching out to people, but I am providing them with information that is valuable to them in that moment. And I want to believe that by providing that value, I create a measure of goodwill that goes along with my brand, so that when something that I need comes along, that'll come back to me in the long run. And I think that that's important. You don't have to be inauthentic and pushing an agenda. As a matter of fact, if you're just the opposite and trying to help other people to reach their goals, I think you have a better chance of having a positive networking experience.
Nice. Do anybody else have a question? Oh, Kimberly, your Sora gave you a nice little shout out. You gotta love your Soras, right? Thank you, Dr. Foyer. Is that her name? She said she's the bomb. We agree. Kimberly is definitely the bomb. Anybody else have a question? Hey guys, especially within our community, sometimes we provide these wonderful events and you don't take advantage of it, but then you'll be like, oh, I wish I knew. Well, we got people that know. So anybody want to do a question? I'm just going to throw out a question out there. How do we get our kids involved? Because a lot of times you could be a networker and all that stuff, but I got 3 babies and I take them along with me everywhere. They know me to Zoom and all that stuff. We got to figure out how to incorporate our kids. So how can we do that, the next generation?
Oh, I want to jump in. Okay, my older kids, they're adults at this point, but they're 25 and 23. However, I always brought them with me no matter what event I was working on. Community event, meeting. Reason being, one, learning how to network. You have to teach them how to network. They're not going to just automatically know how to network if you say go out. You have to teach them. So you teach them by showing them. You know, I was involved in different organizations. I'm like, okay, it may kill you, but you know, I need you to be a part of Delta Gyms because you need to learn how to network with other people. So both of my older daughters were a part of Delta Gyms, and they did it all throughout high school. You know, not just relying on clubs in the school, but engaging them in organizations and clubs or organizations that have youth components. That way you're going at the same time, you know, is very important. And then it allows them, when they get older, to feel comfortable in the space, no matter what space they are put in. That's, even now, my babies are 5. If we're at a rally, they're at a rally. If listen, it is what it is. That's life. But I don't want to find a babysitter for every single thing that I'm doing. It's important for them to be actively involved and be a part of what's happening, because that's also how you teach them about legacy.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important not to make them feel like it's too much pressure, because I have kids and my kids swear I know a million people, which I don't. And they're like, oh, never gonna know as much people of you, but I like to just teach them how to break it down and how do I do it and why do I do it? How do I act this way in one situation, another way this other situation. So guys, even if it's not your kids, even as kids, we always got to just not forget to bring the youth along. Is there anybody else that does that? Kimberly, I know you got an impressive daughter. I'm pretty sure she's been involved with all your stuff.
My daughter is literally a master networker. I have to tell you guys the story. It's unbelievable. She did a, She did a virtual internship during COVID for Northwell. And during the internship, they got to hear from the president of Northwell. And she came off that call and she was like, Mom, I got to meet this man. He's so inspiring. He talked about how he loves to inspire the youth and so forth. So she calls her career counselor, who gets the phone number for this gentleman's secretary. She calls and sets an appointment to meet with him so that she can interview him for a school project. And she went into the meeting with the expectation that she was going to have an experience that would result in her coming out with an internship. Now, this goes to my point that I want to just make. When you're networking, it is good to have networking goals, right? Have networking goals for the year, for the month, for every single encounter. And that can help you along the way as well. Long story short, she ended up with not one, but 2 internships with Northwell and with Long Island J. Before she started college, they were already set up. And then she's already developing relationships with them for when she comes out. So she has watched along the way. She understands how to talk to people, how to be gracious, as Adrienne said earlier, how to tell her story in a way that's humble, but that also gets her point across. So all of those things are important for networking. And sometimes that does require some prior preparation to be able to do it successfully if you're going to go into a situation where you have a limited amount of time and a limited space with that audience. So I just wanted to share that. I didn't mean to brag, but I just had to brag on that.
Now you got to brag. Brag. Carl, I hope you're taking notes because we know you have an 18-month-old daughter. So I hope you're taking notes. But Adrienne, so you want to do the sponsors or you want them to have the panelists?
No, yeah, I will definitely. I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. So we will be ending the panel, but I just want to give a hand clap to our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you are open to it, please share your contact information in the chat. I'll now just highlight our sponsors and talk about them briefly, and then we'll be closing out the night. So while I'm sharing, please feel free to share your contact information. But our sponsors for this evening are the Freelancers Union. They have been sponsoring this series, sharing this information with their networks. The Freelancers Union, if you're not familiar with them, they're a national organization. They provide advocacy and resources for freelancers. So if you're a small business owner, you may want to look into them. They help with free or low cost event spaces or co-working spaces that you can make reservations. So if you currently are getting off your feet, you're a small business and you don't have a place to work or meet with clients, check out the Freelancers Union. They have a really state-of-the-art facilities, really nice, downtown Brooklyn. You'll really impress someone taking them over to these spaces. They also currently have a self-care grant going on. So if you go to their website, there's a $500 self-care grant so that you can really spend money on self-care for you as a business owner. So I'm pretty sure you could use some self-care. I know I definitely looked at the application saying I need a massage, but that's beside the point. They also support with right now is open enrollment. I believe it starts November 16th. So they help you with finding health plans. If you're a small business owner or solopreneur, you might need your own insurance. So you might need business insurance. These are some of the types of resources and things they can connect you with. So definitely check out the Freelancers Union. Of course, it's Rovember, so I will have to speak on behalf of my chapter. Excited to do so. So I am a member of the Beta Psi Sigma chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, and our 501c3 arm, the Aurora's Light Foundation. So we are celebrating our centennial year, 100 years, this November. So we will have lots of celebrations and events. Please follow us on social media. Our current service for this month, we are collecting donations for families that have been displaced and that are here on Long Island. So there has been a big insurgence of immigrant families who have been just left in Hempstead in different parts of Long Island. So we're collecting items to really support these people who have been displaced or who have now found themselves in an unfamiliar place. So if you have toiletries, if you have, feminine products, anything that you could really support these people, these new families that are here, we are collecting items for that. In December, we will be collecting luggage for foster kids. So typically when, foster kids are being moved from home to home, they're packing up their items quickly in plastic bags, garbage bags, things like that. So we would like to support them with, new or gently used duffels, luggage, so that they can have dignity and be able to move and transition with some type of quality luggage or duffel bag. So if those are things that you have available in your home, you have items that you're looking to donate, we're also collecting items to donate as well, whether it's clothes, home products. Really right now, our focus is really supporting our community and, upcycling. So if there are things that you can release that can benefit someone else, please, please, please support with those items. You can reach out to me. I will drop my contact information in chat and we can find a way to collect those items from you. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. I will now pass it on to Jamaal to speak about his chapter. Thank you. Oh, Jamaal, you're on mute. Sorry.
This mute is killing me right now. I said the whole thing. But listen, guys, thank you for coming out. We are the Nassau Suffolk Alumni Chapter, Kappa Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I am married to a lovely Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated member. She reminds me every morning is Rovember. So on behalf of the Noops, we like to say a happy 100th Rovember, early. And listen, guys, since we just started, we're a new chapter. We're doing great things. However, we don't have the websites and the social media and stuff like that. So if you ever want to contact us, you can contact myself, Karan Washington. I think Brother Butler is here. And we're going to do a lot of great things. And we're located on Long Island, and soon you're going to hear a lot about us. So thank you for everybody that's coming out. Thank you, Adrienne. It's always a pleasure working with you. You're very professional. You make it happen. And we're going to do our last workshop, and it's going to be access to skills and training. And we have a wonderful guest speaker. Her name is Erica Hill. If you're local in Long Island, you know that she knows everybody. She's connected, and she's very into training people and connecting people for their skills. So that's going to be a great workshop, and that's going to be the last one for 2022. Do you want to say anything else?
No, I really want to thank everyone for coming out. This is my contact information and Jamaal's contact information. I know we are rolling into tax season, so I have to give the plug. If you don't have a tax plan yet, please reach out to myself or Jamaal. What is a tax plan? The tax plan is literally optimizing your tax situation, looking at it to see if there's strategies you can implement before the end of the year to help you reduce your tax liability. So we use some really great software to kind of do an analysis and a check on your tax plan and to make sure you make the changes you need to make before the end of the year. But reach out to myself or Jamaal if that's something that you're interested in. Again, it's about generational wealth building. So if we can keep some of your dollars in your pocket or help you put them towards your retirement or optimize things, that's what we want to do before the end of the year. So that is it. We will see you next month. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you to the panelists. Thank y'all.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.